Welcome back to our weekly training here at Powered by Ground, the Pie of Real Estate, where we focus on new homes, resale, and distress, learning how to better service our clients in their immediate need. You see, every day clients call us with questions and concerns about real estate, and our job as brokers is to develop a better strategy, develop a better answer, develop a better resolution or solution for their problem. And here at Powered by Ground, this is what we talk on a weekly basis. We're bringing case studies from brokers, from situations, from circumstances. Why? Because we have to move towards the direction of cultivating the next transaction, cultivating the next closing for our clients and also for our businesses. The thought of the day: your chief aim. Where are you going? You know, you can have a lot of excuses. Oh, the market's not working in my favor. Oh, I have been sick, and so forth. But the chief aim is really where you're going. Where you're going is where you will go, whether by foot, by bicycle, by car, by train, by airplane, wherever you're going, that is where you're going to end up. So this is so important that all of us have a chief aim. Where are we going? Like one guy said, you will end up somewhere. So we must develop a chief aim. Narrow down, laser focus on where you want to end up. You see, and once you have a chief aim, another aspect of strategy we call our exit, right? How are you going to exit? What is your chief aim? So let us work on our chief aim. How do we cultivate this laser focus in all the areas of our life and all the areas of our business, whether it's transactions, whether it's closings, whether it's listing appointments, whether it's servicing buyers, sellers, new homes, and so forth. So the thought of the day is, what is your chief aim? Where are you going? You are going to end up somewhere. Last session, we talked a lot about removing your limited belief system. We all grow up in different circumstances, in different environments, and it cultivates who we are. Our environment does truly produce who we are. If you live here in Southwest Washington, we get a lot of rain, less sun, less snow. It produces certain bushes, it produces certain grass. Even the grass is different here than it is in California or in Midwest or in East Coast. Why? Because the environment does truly affect how we grow up. But once we grow up, we have to look at all the limiting belief factors, especially when you go into business. And you have to understand that you have to start removing those factors because they are not helping you move towards your chief aim. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you want to own your own business, if you want to run your own team, or you want to be a good solo broker, whatever your outcome, whatever your chief aim is, you have to be removing your belief system. I had a meeting with a broker this week, and she's like, you know what, I started, 6 months ago. I have 4 closings. I slowly want to move in the direction of building a team. And she just went on, and I was like, wow, this broker has her chief aim. She wants to hit closings, she wants to hit transactions, and then she wants to start investing back into her business and building her team. When I sit down with another broker and ask, what is it that you want to achieve in the next 6 to 12 months? And the person says, I don't know. Well, then we're really not going to go anywhere. We're just going to spin out in circles and go nowhere. So it is so important that we cultivate our chief aim and then that we start to dismantle the belief system that is not helping us move towards that chief aim. Here at Powered by Ground, we're focusing a lot on a lot of training courses. And I believe in real estate, because we're great salespeople, we have to learn product. You see, in just traditional sales, it doesn't matter what you sell, chairs, tables, light bulbs, real estate, cars, just the aspect of sales. You have to know 20% of your product for you to even, for the consumer to feel like they're really getting the service that they deserve about you explaining that product to them. And what I am finding is a lot of brokers don't even know what product they're selling. In real estate, there's really three products. We sell land, we sell residential, and we sell commercial. Those are the three product lines that we sell. We sell land, residential, and commercial. And here in our trainings, we want to talk about this product. I would like brokers to know more and more about their product. Feel comfortable talking about the floors, the light bulbs, the paint, talking about the cabinets, talking about the HVACs, and so forth. You're talking about the product, the roof. If I were to look at, over 1,000 transactions, you always get questions about the roof, the gutters, the siding, right? It's called the envelope of the home. A lot of people are worried, will this sustain? Will this fulfill? So we have to always look at things that have to do with product. Your clients are always going to ask about cracks in concrete, right? Or the wear and tear of the water heater. So product, you should know that everything has an expiration date. When it talks about water heaters have an expiration date. HVAC have an expiration date. So today we're going to talk about land. Land is a product of real estate. There's literally four categories. First, we start with farmland. Actually, every city you go to started with farmland. Somebody came to Southwest Washington and there is nothing here. It's just a farmland. Maybe there's one farmer and he had 2,000 acres of property. But if you look at any history of your town, your city, and you look at its establishment date, most of it was all owned by farmers. It was just a piece of farmland. It was just agricultural land. So you have to understand that if we're going and the city is growing, well, the outskirts of the city are going to be farmlands. Why? Because that's how everything starts. Farmers till farmland, and then they build ranches. That is kind of the second tier. So everything starts with farmlands. In a farmland, that means a person owns hundreds of acres or maybe thousands of acres. And this farmer owns all this property, whether it's creeks, whether it's wooded, whether it has oaks, whether it just has 500 elk going through the property every season. But what we're talking about is a piece of farmland. We talk to a lot of owners who own farmland. Why? Because in development and land acquisition, you have to talk to the people who own 100, 200, 500 acres. And we're saying, hey, you know what? The county is expanding up to your property, and they're looking to do something with your property. So farmland is kind of where it all starts. Then we go to ranches, where people start to acquire farmlands and build out ranches. So there's a guy who lives on a ranch. He has 50 acres. He has 300 cattle. He has sheep. It's a ranch. Or, a person owns 50 acres and 20 of it is, he's in agricultural. He's raising cherries. He's doing fruits and vegetables and all of this. So there's ranches that look different. But we go from farmland to ranches, where people are tilling the ground, where people have cattle, and they're using the land to produce something. Then you have subdivisions, where developers buy these ranches, 5 acres, 10 acres, 20 acres, and start to plat it into some subdivision. 20, 2-acre lots, 1-acre lots, 5 lots on 1 acre, whatever the density is. So you're moving land into higher density. So we started with a guy who had 1,000 acres. We moved to ranches where a guy's owning 50 acres. Now we're moving to subdivisions where people could be owning 5 acres, 20 parcels of 5 acres, or 21 acre parcels. We're moving into subdivisions, or we have 20 lots on 1 acre. But we're increasing density. And then you have city lots. From those lots, from those subdivisions, you're increasing density again to city lots. And I was talking to a guy from Seattle 2 weeks ago, one of our lender partners, and they're taking 10,000 square foot lots and building, 6 units on a 10,000 square foot lot. So I'm just trying to show you a roadmap really quickly, how things move from a huge piece of parcel and it increases density to where you go from just urban living, rural living, all the way to urban living. And you have to learn land. You have to learn product. If you want to be in new home sales, or if you just want to service your clients better. Not only do you have to learn land, but you have to learn evaluation. How do you evaluate a farmland that has 1,000 acres? What is that worth? How do you come up with comps? How do you create assessment? How do you come up with assessment of ranches? If a person owns 30 acres, right, per acre, how do you sell that? Then subdivisions. How do you produce and derive value on lots? Clustered lots, inner city lots, subdivisions, wholesale prices, retail prices. And then how do you derive value with city lots where, it's urban development and you're taking a 10,000 square foot lot and you're building 6 units on it. But product. You see, if you go into a store that has 50 products, even like Home Depot, which has probably 1,000 products, they took a product, they studied it, and they derived value. And they brought this value to you, the consumer. And when you come into Home Depot, you look at all their items, and you understand that each product has its value. Well, we as brokers, we bring product to the market. And when people come to us, buyers, and say, what are you selling? And we're going to say, we sell land. What does that mean? Well, land has 4 or 5 different products. And let's go to our shelf and look at every category. What is it that you guys want to buy? Do you want to buy land, farmland, ranches, city lots? But you're slowly learning the language of land. You have to learn how to sell this product. What was the key? We started that from the very beginning. You need to learn at least 20%, have at least 20% knowledge about each of these categories to sell it. And guess what? I have brokers that I know, all they do is sell farmland across the whole nation. And they do really well. They sell farmland, and they sell it to farmers. Why? Because a farmer who has 50 acres wants to have 200 acres now. And they sell him farmland. They sell him 200 acres. Then I have people who have ranches. Their dad owned ranches. They want to own ranches. I have clients who are looking at subdivisions. But remember this, you have to learn product. And in our master class, we are going to go into more details on each category and provide that information to you. But we have to learn land, we have to learn product, because this is how we are going to become a better service to our clients.